Good morning. I'll give this a second here. Good morning, everybody. Hey, this is Stacy. We are Loving My Veteran, and this is Walking in My Shoes this morning. It's been an interesting evening. Let's just go there with that. And it's just kind of interesting how today's topic ties right into kind of the events that we're going through. First of all, so today's topic is going to be that we have rights, which we've been talking about all month. And one of our rights is to make decisions and live by our own morals, standards, and values. But before we get into that, let me just bring a few things up to light. Let's Talk tonight. There is a new link for 2021. It has been posted to the page again, to the website. I will post it back to the group. It's on our Facebook page, and I will post it to the group. Our veterans have graciously agreed, as usual, to come on and talk about how the events of last night have affected them, because there's a lot of that going on right now and a lot of concerns. So they will be on Let's Talk tonight. So I just wanted to throw that out there. The website is not quite ready to go live. We have made a ton of changes to it. So it should be ready to go live this afternoon. That is my focus all day today, is get that straight. And for whatever reason, we've had reports of some of the other groups' pages being shut down or groups being shut down. If they do, go to lovingmyveteran.com. And we will get the information on there to get into the group that's there, and we can move the platform there if we need to. I don't foresee that happening. Anyway, so we're talking about our rights, and we all have rights, and we have rights that we are, we live with every day. There's laws and whatever, but as humans, we have rights. Good morning, Michelle. As human beings, we have rights. And we have a right to establish our own morals and our own values and our own standards. Every person has that right. Okay? And we have a right to make our decisions based on our morals, standards, and values. Not on anybody else's, but our own. That even includes in our relationships. If they go against our morals, our standards, or our values, we don't have to buy into them. We don't have to buy into those morals, values, and standards. We make our choices based on ours and what we will and will not allow as human beings. And so I think that is probably after the events of yesterday and the events of this past year. I've watched it and I've become enraged and I've become so angry and I'm asking, how do we devolve to this? When I was a child, and I'm older than a lot of you, but when I was a child, I assure you one thing. If my daddy told me to go to my room and I didn't agree with him, I still responded, yes, sir, because I respected my father. Right? That was a moral and a standard that was expected in our home. The standard that was expected in our home was for me to respond, yes, sir. I go out in the world today and I run into people that know my kids, and they're grown, they're in their 30s, right? And they still say, you have the politest children. They always address their elders as Mr. or Mrs. unless they've been told differently, and then it's always Miss Ginger or Mr. Johnny or whoever. It's not just, hey, Ginger, Don, whatever. They don't do that if they're my age people, if they're older than them. They still address them that way. But they always say, yes, sir, and yes, ma'am. It is a standard that was a value that we instilled in their lives growing up. So we have that right, no matter what goes on in our home life now with our veteran or with our work colleagues or with our friends or with anybody else, we have that right to live by our standards. Period. There's no exception to that right. We have that right to make decisions based on our standards. Our standards. It doesn't mean we have to be intolerant of other standards. It means that our decisions are based on our standards. It's simple, in a way. But we let the pressure of the world and society let us fall away from what our standards are. I can remember, and I always use the analogy, remember, I can only speak from my own life experiences. I can remember keeping David Scott out of school when he had to have been like in second grade. And I had told David to do something, and David chose not to. And I said, David Scott, you're going to go do that right now. And he stomped his foot and said, you can't make me, bitch. Well, out of pure instinct, reactiveness, David Scott got a hand put somewhere besides his tail. And let's just put it this way, he had a few little faint marks right there. So I didn't let him go to school the next day because I was afraid that, they would scream abuse. But you know what? He never stood anywhere and stomped his foot and called me a bitch to my face again. Because I was not allowing him to live in our home without consequences if he didn't respect my morals, my standards, and my beliefs. That's what we instill in them. And that's what we make our choices on today. It doesn't mean that we become intolerant to others, because we all have that right. And I think when we understand that we have that right to live and make our decisions based on our moral standards and beliefs, other people also have that right. It doesn't make them one right or wrong. We live our life based on our morals, our standards, and our beliefs. So how do you carry this into your home life with your veteran? How do you allow this to go on? I said in the very beginning when I first started this, and I will say to anybody who calls me now or messages me now and says, hey, how do I navigate through this? I always tell them, get out your piece of paper, get your notebook, get whatever, and make a list of things you absolutely will not tolerate. These are things that go against your morals, your standards, and your beliefs. Make a list of what you will not tolerate and what you don't like and what you won't tolerate. Make that list and then rank it. And always put your biggest thing on the top. I call it the hard limit list, and not like the 50 Shades of Grey. But these are a moral and a standard and a value I'm not going to compromise on. Period. When I first approached, and Carl and I first started talking about or figuring out a way to communicate, when I first approached him with it, and I had my list, okay, because there were things that were going on, and he has never laid a hand on me in anger. It's never been like that. I'm not physically abused by him in anger in any way, but I came from an abusive marriage in the past, way in the past, and that's just something I'm not going to live with. So when I approached him about our very first time when we're starting to talk through how to communicate, and I said, hey, we've had a rough couple of days, and, these outbursts and stuff. What am I doing that triggers you? What's one thing I can do or not do that's triggering you? And of course, y'all know it was yelling. I'm still working on that, but okay. So we did that, and I said, I absolutely will not live with you if you put your hands on me in anger, ever. Now, he had never done that, but that was my first hard limit. That is a value and a standard that I am not willing to compromise. Period. Miss again, nothing else. Exactly. I'm not willing to compromise that standard. That's me. I'm not going to compromise that. And when we learn to live our life based on our morals and our standards and our beliefs, and say no to people or events or things that go against them, we're going to have a better life. Start at the home. Start making your list. Now remember, if you've lived in a situation where things have gone against your morals, your standards, your values, your beliefs, you can't go in overnight and flip the light switch on. Okay? It doesn't happen that way. You don't just wake up in fairy tale land. But you start living your life where you're accountable to you and you become you and you don't compromise your morals, your values, and your standards anymore. And you live that life and you start that way and then you start expressing them to other people that you're not going to tolerate that in your bubble, your life will improve. Your life will improve. You know, we are all taken aback by the events that happened in this country over the last year. I'm not even talking about yesterday. I'm talking about in the last year. I don't want to point fingers. I don't want to blame Antifa. I don't want to blame nobody. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is you can build the biggest, tallest, best building in the entire world. You can put a gold thing up on the top of it. You can have all this ornate and gold and dripping and diamonds and jewels and everything. But if the foundation isn't strong, the building's going to crumble. And we become that foundation. We have to become strong and establish our morals, values, and standards. When we do that, all the rest of the crap isn't going to matter anymore. And the same thing happens into our lives. Look, there are people, I've watched it happen. I've worked in Savannah. I've worked EMS for a long time. There are people on the streets who, no matter what we try to do, no matter how I try to tell them this is going to kill you, no matter how much we convey that to them, no matter how much rehab they go to, they think that doing meth is acceptable. Okay? That is in their moral standards and beliefs. But just because they do it doesn't mean I have to. I don't have to compromise on my moral standards or beliefs to do that. Go back to giving the guy a bath. Other people didn't believe that was important. I did. I did not compromise my moral standards or beliefs when I did my job. So you don't have to compromise on that. And when you learn that that is your right and you don't have to put up with it, your life will get better because you're living your life for you, not the version that somebody else wants you to live. And for me, I have my personal relationship with God. So my moral standards and my beliefs are between me and God, and we're the ones who sort them out. And I listen to Him, try to listen to Him give me those beliefs, and then I try to carry them. But if He's giving me beliefs and I'm not putting them out there, you're lost somewhere. So always remember, we have that right. We have that right to say no. You know, how many times have you read on the news or seen on the news where this guy's committed a crime or this girl's committed a crime and there's people in the car with them and they say, but they're really good kids and they weren't the ones who pulled the trigger. They got in the car. Hello. They may be really good kids. They may have come from Christian homes. They may be whatever. They may not have been that. They may not have ever done that in their life, but they got in the car and they compromised their morals, their standards, their beliefs, and their values when they got in the car and they went to some place they shouldn't. So when we compromise our beliefs, our morals, our standards, we become deluded. And that means we're allowing that to happen. Stay strong in those. You have that right. It is your God-given right. And nobody else can influence you in your morals, your standards, your beliefs, and your values. That's why we have so many people who contribute to this community. Because what may resonate to you may not come from me. It may come from somebody else and somebody else's point of view. And so that's why we do that. We do have certain standards on this page and in this group that we're not going to tolerate. You're not going to bash somebody else. You're not going to tell somebody else that their husband is this if you don't know them. You don't have that right. They do. They live by their moral standards and beliefs. We support you and what you're going through, and we're here to listen to you, but we don't, that's your value, your moral, your standard, your belief. I have a lot of people who say to me, well, when he has an outburst, he gets abusive, and he's hit me, or he's pushed me into a wall, or he's done whatever, or he's done this, and their friends are outraged. Well, how do you live with that? But you know what? That's on them. That's their morals, their values, their standards, their belief. It's not anybody else's. And so that's what's so important, that we learn we have that right. We have that right to live by ours. I go back and I have really been stuck on 9/11 today and last night, and I cried a lot over it. You know, those planes didn't discriminate when they hit the World Trade Center. They didn't discriminate on color. They didn't discriminate on age. They didn't discriminate on sexual orientation. They didn't discriminate on economic status. There were the janitors in there that were barely making minimum wage. There were the CEOs in there that were making a ton. There were police officers. There were firefighters. There were people off of the streets who went in and tried to help. Nobody discriminated against anybody. Nobody. We all came together. But when it came time to build the memorial, there was a big controversy whether or not a mosque should be allowed. They had a place for the Jewish people and a place for the Christian people to go have reflection. But there was a big issue about whether or not a mosque could be allowed. And my thing was, is there were so many people that were killed, that why should it matter? Why should our beliefs go into that? We weren't honoring the people who flew the plane. We were honoring the people who died. And nobody else's values and morals and beliefs should have influenced what was put in there. You can't decide that one way is right and another way is wrong, because you got to live by your own, not by anybody else's. And I think that's the thing that we try so hard. We try so hard to live by somebody else's morals, values, standards, and beliefs. Gotta live by your own. You gotta know what you're willing and not willing to allow in your life. You don't compromise those things. You become tolerant of others, but in your home, in your life, you don't compromise those things. You don't sell out those things. You don't get rid of your morals, your standards, your values, and your beliefs because you're veterans in a place. They're still yours. They're still what we have. My mom has one set of morals, values, standards, and beliefs. I have another. Now, a lot of ours are very similar. But there are other things that we don't always agree on. But it doesn't mean I dislike my mother. I respect her right to live by hers. And she will respect my right to live by mine. We don't always have to agree. My veteran and I don't agree on things all the time. We have some difference in our moral standards, values, and beliefs. And some of our beliefs come from past experiences. And your beliefs can change over time. I have a hard time accepting the fact that I can be loved the way he loves me. I have a hard time with that. I have a very hard time with that. Maybe. Because I've never had that. So my belief is that I wasn't worthy of that kind of love. Because that's what I had lived with. Now, I understand that I am, or I'm trying to understand that I am. And so my beliefs are changing when it comes to that. His belief is that he should love me a certain way, and that's the way he wants to love me, and that I should accept that, whether I'm ready to or not. And he's not willing to compromise and give up his belief in that I am, he always says, you're first. Doesn't matter about me, you're first. And I'm like, well, occasionally it's okay for you to be first. And he's like, no, you're first. That's his belief. And I can't change that. can't change that in him. Just like he can't change mine. Now, we evolve to a certain point, and we're getting better about realizing that we collectively come above that. But he still feels that I'm number one. So that's what I'm saying about not compromising what we believe in, not compromising our values. Do we get angry at times? Yes, we do. Am I angry and bitter about this country and not about what happened recently? Yeah, I am. How dare you send these guys to a war, to a place to defend, that you say you're going to be there forever for them, and you can't tell them, bye, here's your stuff, have a nice day, here's a few medals. Oh, by the way, we promised you medical and treatment, and we promised you the best of the best, and you're not getting it, but have a great day. Have a great day. I'm angry. I'm really angry. I am incredibly angry. I got a phone call from my ex-husband 2 nights ago who said he went in, VA, checkup, whatever, his blood pressure was up. And so they were going to give him clonidine, which he is highly allergic to, and it's in his records. And you know what they said to him? Well, it'll work. Just go ahead and take it, and you'll be fine. He says, I'm allergic to it. They said, well, it doesn't matter. What do you mean it doesn't matter? His life doesn't matter? He may not be my husband, but his life still matters. It matters to our kids. You know, I think about people who are going through disabilities, not veteran related, but just disabilities, period. I've done it. Michelle's done it. I mean, I'm just putting it out there. We've worked our whole lives paying into a system. 11 months later, they can't give us a determination on whether or not we deserve disability? Are you kidding me? I'm angry. I'm angry because the stuff you promised me didn't come through. But it's not going to change my morals and my values and my standards and my beliefs. I still love this country. It's who I am. So you can't compromise on those. Your rights and your decisions need to be based on your beliefs. Let's say, for example, that you grew up in an alcoholic home, okay? And you have a hard time if your spouse drinks. Again, he has that right, so let me just throw that out there. If you're can't have a double standard here. He has his values, you have yours, you have that right. But if he says, hey, we're all going to go hang out with the guys tonight, you know what? You have that right to say no. Because it goes against your morals, your values, your standards, and your beliefs. You have the right to say no. That's what we need to start learning and start practicing in our daily lives. Putting ourselves first isn't being selfish. Putting ourselves where we don't sell ourselves out is what we're supposed to do. It's our right as a human being. You don't have to like me. There's a lot of people who don't. You don't have to like the way I live. There's a lot of people who don't. But as long as I'm living and I'm doing my morals, my standards, my values, and my beliefs, I'm okay with that. You don't have to like it. Because they're not yours, they're mine. And when we get that attitude, our lives will improve. When we stop compromising on our morals, our values, our standards, and our beliefs, our lives will improve. Your relationship with your veteran will improve. When you have a clear understanding of what each other's morals, values, standards, and beliefs are. You know, one of the things that we know that our veterans have issues with is right now, because of what they've been through, a lot of times they feel defeated and unworthy. Right? That's in their mind, their belief. That is their belief. You can't take that away from them. You can help them evolve out of it, but you can't take that belief away. You can't look at them and say, Are you kidding me? But you do have value and expect their value to change. Thank you, darling. You can't expect their value to change because you say so. But if you believe in them and you show them that you believe in them, their negative belief of themselves will start to erode. Okay? Their negative belief in themselves will start to erode. But you have to believe in them. I had a lady message me the other day and she said, been married for X number of years, I've tried everything, we're just done and I'm not sure I'm ready for this. I'm like, okay, well, I'm sorry. Have you tried this? Do you still love him? Yes, but I'm done. Okay? I can't change her belief. If she feels like she's done, she's done. But what I can do is talk to her and say, look, these are the things we're trying. These are the things these people in the groups are suggesting. And we're finding positive outcomes from them. Are you willing to do that? And she's like, I don't know, I just think I'm done. And I said, what's your belief? What are you willing? Take a piece of paper, write down what you're willing to live with, what you're not willing to live with. And when she started doing that, you know what the number one thing that kept echoing back in her mind was? I've been with him all this time. I was raised and I believe in the sanctity of marriage and that there's good days and that there's bad days. And I believe it is my job to do everything I can to work on the good days. And I'm not willing to give up yet. I didn't change your values. I didn't change your morals. I didn't change your beliefs. I asked her to reflect on it. And she is actively working on that. So I'm not asking you to change who you are. I'm asking you to find who you are. I'm asking you to get all the buzz and static and drama out. And who are you? Not who do others want you to be. Who are you? What are your standards? What are your morals? What are your values? What are your beliefs? Find them and live by them. You don't have to influence them to others. Find them and live by them. And when other people are truly living by their morals, their values, their standards, and their beliefs, you don't judge them because they're living by theirs. You uplift them. But you don't have to go with them if they go against yours. You don't have to make people happy and go against what you believe. How many times have we shared our relationships with people who don't get PTSD, and the number one thing you hear is, you're not safe, leave. How many times have all of us heard that? You're not safe, leave. How do you put up with it? I'd get out of there. My morals, my standards, my values, my beliefs, not yours. Mine. I choose to make this work. This is my standard. My belief is that it will work. And I'm going to do everything in my power to make it work. And when I change that mindset, our relationship started to improve. And here's where I'm at with this. We were talking about it last night, even, and we had a moment last night, so I didn't quite get to 96 hours, but it wasn't a true explosion night either, so I'm my victory. But here's the thing. It was funny because when we were de-escalating and coming down from a thing, we realized how far we had come. We realized that all the big things that were in the way, the big roadblocks and things that were in the way, they're not in the way anymore. It's all the little stuff now. We're aware that we've developed our relationship. We're aware that the explosions happen, and we're both aware that we both have them because we both trigger because of past experiences. We're aware of those, and we've gotten past the big stuff. Now we're to the little stuff, the fine-tuning stuff, the stuff that as our relationship evolves and changes, and the dynamics change in our relationship, just in life, we're finding out that those now bring up issues, but they're little issues, and we can work through them. So you're never completely over it. Yeah, I can't remember how many times Carl has said to me, I'm not your ex-husband, and how many times I've said to him, I'm not your ex-wife. But both of us carried that baggage, that's the relationships we believed in, because that's all we knew. And that is going away. And that's no longer a belief. That's no longer a belief for us. And that, I think, is where we all have to be. Don't compromise. Don't change who you are. Learn to live by your values, your morals, your standards, your beliefs. That's what you need to do. Don't sell them out. You have a right to say no to things that go against them. You also don't have a right to impose them on other people. You can share them, but you got to be supportive of their views and their morals and their standards and their beliefs. And that is what's going to create happiness. And those basic living skills that we're talking about today, this week, this month, about our rights, they're not constitutional rights, they're human rights. And if everybody would learn to live by those rights for them, their rights for them, if we became tolerant of these rights for each other, we wouldn't have all the nonsense we've had going on. We wouldn't have it. Okay, so I'm going to wrap up today. Do not forget, let's talk. I'm actually going to share it on some of the other groups, and hopefully they'll let us. Our veterans have so nicely agreed to be on, and we can ask them questions about how they feel with the situation going on in the world. If your veteran has not joined you on a Let's Talk before, we encourage you to ask them to come. They don't have to be on camera on the Zoom. They don't have to do anything. They can listen, but they'll be around to talk if you need them. And maybe the guys or veterans talking to veterans will be positive and helpful. If your veteran chooses not to and you want to just pop in and listen, please. So we all need to hear today. God speaks to me, baby. Please just pop in and listen. With or without your veteran, it may give you some insight, but we are asking you to do that. There is a new link. If you're using the one from last year, it will not work. Zoom had us change the links, which is fine, so it is posted. I will post it to the group right away. Real big shout out to Stephanie from yesterday. Her Wednesday wellness moment was much needed, much heard, and much appreciated. I cannot tell you all that enough. To the people who are contributing, I'm so grateful, because what the stories you're putting out are what we all need to hear as a community. I'm gonna stay away from the TV today. I'm gonna work on the website. Y'all have a blessed day. This has been Walking in My Shoes. I'm Stacy, and we're loving my veteran, and we love all of you. Have a blessed day.